Hi, my name is Martin. Welcome to my channel. I want to come up with a new theory about how they built Khufu's pyramid. And afterwards you will think, of course, why hasn't anyone discovered it before, when it's so straightforward? I will try to take you along my train of thought here, so that you can also see the logic in how I come to this theory. There are many theories about how Khufu's pyramid was built. One of the widespread theories comes from the Frenchman Jean-Pierre. You've probably heard of him already. Otherwise, you can find a lot about him and his theory on the web. His theory is broadly that he believes they built an internal ramp to get the stones up. But I found a contradiction in his theory, which actually got me onto something. Just watch this clip from a video about his theory.
Jean-Pierre thinks the key to the mystery is the Grand Gallery itself. He's convinced the gallery was the key element of a gigantic system of counterweights that would have made it possible for just 100 men to move the enormous granite blocks.
Stop right here for a moment and think about it. If they knew about advanced lifting technology, then they would have been able to lift the stones up, instead of using the troublesome ramps. Jean-Pierre also finds evidence of a spiral inside Khufu's pyramid. I think it rather indicates that there is a step pyramid within the pyramid. Almost all the theories I have seen about the building of Khufu's pyramid, they assume that it is built with casing stones on, from the bottom up, during the entire building process. But it is a very illogical and difficult way to build it. The most logical thing is that Khufu first built a step pyramid, from the bottom up, step by step. At the same time, he built the inner chambers. Only in the last phase did they put the casing stones on. The details of how they did it, I will get into later. There are several clear signs that Khufu's pyramid was first a step pyramid. If we see here where the stones stand like this, you only place them like this if you want to distribute some weight from above. But there isn't much weight right out on the edge of the pyramid. The most logical thing is that there has been a step on the step pyramid just above here somewhere, where there has either been something very heavy, perhaps some kind of heavy crane, or it has been a place where very heavy stones were landed during the first phase of the construction of the step pyramid. Now we move on to the next part of my theory. Khufu built the pyramid without the use of many ramps, but with simple lifting technology, which Khufu got improved over time. I would actually go so far as to say that, for Egyptians, obelisks are tributes or manifestations of they have overcome gravity / the stones. And now they could raise large stones, or lift them on top of each other. Khufu has used two different lifting techniques, one for the smaller stones, of which over 80% of the pyramid is built of approximate 2 to 3 tons, and another for the very heavy stones of up to 80 tons. Here we are up against history and science, which says that lifting technology first came 2,000 years later with the Greeks. This is largely due to the fact that no evidence has been found of it earlier than the Greeks. So we just have to dive into that. Let's see what we can find about the lifting technique of the Egyptians. Ropes are a universal tool when something needs to be lifted. So that's a very good place to start. We can see that they use ropes to raise the sails of ships with. The Egyptians also had other different simple lifting methods, such as carrying yokes in different forms. But another thing I have particularly noticed is their weighing scale. It is also a kind of lifting method. The depicted scale from Egypt are in most cases associated with a ritual, which I will briefly describe. The ancient Egyptians believed that the heart recorded all of the good and bad deeds of a person's life and was needed for judgment in the afterlife. After a person died, the heart was weighed against the feather of Ma'at, goddess of truth and justice. The scales were watched by Anubis, the jackal-headed god of embalming, and the results recorded by Thoth, the ibis-headed god of writing. If a person had led a decent life, the heart balanced with the feather, and the person was rendered worthy to live forever in paradise with Osiris. What I can see out of that ritual is, those known to the law of gravity, the lever principle and the center of gravity. The scale is also an important calculating tool, and they were able to calculate and write. You can get a lot of knowledge from a scale. The scale has certainly been an important tool. I also noticed that many gods and pharaohs have a kind of key in their hand. That looks like a scale with a handle. I see it as if they are holding a key to knowledge. But it's true that you don't see them lifting heavy stones or any kind of simple crane. It's only me who sees cranes everywhere at all major constructions in ancient Egypt. How, I will reveal to you in a moment. But first we have to go through the last part of my train of thought. Khufu needs a crane for his construction. It must be able to lift a stone of approximate 3 tons and place it up 5 to 10 meters on the next step on the step pyramid. If we're going to try to put together some kind of crane for Khufu, based on the knowledge we now know they had, it must be made on the same principle as a scale. A kind of oversized scale. It's the simplest crane you can make. If the crane has to be able to lift up to a height of 5 to 10 meters, there is probably a formula that I don't know. We just assume right now that the crane must be approximate 6 meters high and have a cross wooden beam of 12 meters. It can be done. They have certainly had timber for that length. We now hang a 3-ton stone on the beam. Then we need a ballast for the other end. There are also a number of options here. I think the most logical thing is that people have been used as ballast because they themselves could climb up and down as needed. It's quite smart to have a ballast that can move itself. Now we only need a vertical pole or pillar of 6 meters. Which must be able to handle a load of more than 6 tons. It must probably be made of stone. Here I see 2 possibilities. The first is an obelisk.
Of all, an obelisk is a stone pillar, typically having a square or rectangular cross-section and a pyramidal top, usually made of gold. It was set up in ancient Egypt as a monument or landmark. Arabs referred to it as a masalla, which means needle.
Yes. And the other option is the Djed.
The Djed is an ancient Egyptian symbol for stability which features prominently in Egyptian art and architecture throughout the country's history. The Djed is often overlooked in Egyptian art, and especially in architecture.
It sounds likely that it could be the Djed that was used as the pillar in the crane. Well, it does symbolize stability. That's what is needed here. Maybe they used both options. The Egyptians valued and treasured their cranes very much, which they believed to have been given by their gods. They therefore kept their cranes after a construction project was completed. They have, of course, removed the crossbar and perhaps decorated them. Afterwards, they were used either as decoration or built into the construction itself. That is why I see simple cranes everywhere where there are pillars and obelisks. So it is possible that they are the ones that archaeologists overlook when they cannot find evidence of the Egyptians' lifting methods. We don't see it, even though it's right in front of us. Once you are open to the idea, you look at ancient buildings in a completely new light. You can see the possibility that this type of crane may have been used in many places. Now Khufu's crane is finished. The most simple crane you can make, and yet so smart that it can turn. I've actually made a small model of the crane, and it turns just fine. These are the main features and principles of how Khufu built the Great Pyramid. With such a crane on each step in the step pyramid, would Khufu be able to build the pyramid faster than we have so far thought possible? I will spare you the many details now, but will return with more videos. But remember, you are my sponsor. You are awesome. Especially if you hit the subscribe button and sign up for notifications. Thank you for this time, and I hope to see you again.